Muchas gracias a todos los ponentes por haber.
Thank you very much to all of the speakers for their excellent presentation of these issues. And now we have a Q&A session.
¿Alguna pregunta? No veo absolutamente nada.
Can't see a thing, I'm afraid, from here. I can't really hear very well either, says the speaker.
Se ruega que primero se identifique la persona que haga la pregunta.
Please say who you are before you ask your question.
Sí, buenas tardes. Soy Carlos Lozano.
Hi, Carlos Gonzalo from Plant Protection in Aragon. I have a question for Franco Finelli. Firstly, just joint solidarity, if you like, also in parts of Spain. For 10 years, we thought we had eradicated fire blight, and then 10 years later, we realized that it hadn't. You've mentioned that your colleagues who work on integrated plant pest management have set out guidelines for controlling and combating fire blight. Could you please tell us a little bit about these guidelines?
Well, I follow quarantine, not IPM, but I have a copy of the document. In Italy, there is a national IPM guidelines, and every single region can apply these guidelines, maybe with small differences depending on the pest. Usually, for my experience, I can say that the best way to limitate the impact of fire blight is pruning, a prompt pruning. Clearly, this is a big problem for farmers because it's not so easy to inspect the orchard every day or every week. Now in Italy there is not a lot of men at work in the country, so it's not easy. But anyway, we have a very efficient forecast model. It's made on the base is a corrected version of Mary Blight, American Mary Blight. Our service issue the condition, the risk condition every 15 days or every week, I don't remember exactly. And in this way it's possible to take a prompt measure. Unfortunately, we don't have many chemicals to be used against fire blight. We use a lot copper compounds at low doses, maybe many times, but low doses. There are other pesticides or chemical authorized like Bion or like Regalis, which is not really pesticides, but another chemical. In my opinion, Aliet, but in my opinion, no one is really effective. The efficacy of the pesticides depends mainly on plants, their status. If you have a young plant well fertilized and growing a lot, if fire blight can enter in the plant, it's really difficult to reduce the impact. Anyway, I can say from the many outbreaks we had at the end of the 90s, now the situation is more quiet. It means that anyway farmers have got experience in managing, using spray in the right moment, pruning in the right moment, and above all, eliminating every time it's possible all the secondary blossom. In this way, maybe I can give you, I have the file in my PC, I can give you the Italian guidelines for IPM in order to show you what are the conditions. But they are just an indication, not anymore.
Por favor. Ahora.
Thank you. Please be as brief as possible in your answers, speakers. Otherwise, we won't have enough time to take many more questions. Does anybody else have a question? No more questions? I have a question. It may be an icebreaker. Just to recap on the 5 presentations, overall, we have good preventive measures, exclusion for eradication, and detection methods currently, particularly molecular methods, are excellent tools. And that's a real strength from the point of view of prevention, particularly of quarantine diseases. After the introduction of a disease, though, and this is perhaps a typical question of plant protection services, they'll say, how did it get here? And some of you have mentioned this, where there's been tracking in fruit flies and Xylella and olive trees, because that's an important question. If we know how it got here, then perhaps we can defend ourselves. Also, do we have molecular methods of genotyping? And I know there's work going on fruit flies at that level already. But it leaves you wanting somewhat when you hear questions like Carlos Lozano's question just now. And I think this is quite generalized in all quarantine pests. What do I do? How can I coexist with this problem? And what tools do we have? And only in very few cases, I've seen very few references answering these questions in our presentations. Are there no tools, or are the tools that we have, are they ineffective? We know that for fire blight, already, but with these other diseases that are vector-borne, you would think there would be tools. So I'd just like to put that question out there to the speakers. If anybody wishes to answer it, please go ahead. And I think if you don't, we're all going to go out here with a rather pessimistic feeling from this session. Nick, would you like to take the floor?
I would like to comment, especially for fruit flies, there are molecular tools for, and there is even barcoding for fruit flies, but as I showed in this slide, only less than 20% of all the interceptions are identified to the genus level. So apparently we need to do something more even into the identification. I think there is no probably a simple solution to this problem, because we've seen that with all these strict regulations that the interceptions of fruit flies are increasing in Europe, although the regulations become stricter and the interceptions increase. And of course, we still to continue and to impose more strict regulations, but we should go and look more into the area of origin of all these fruits that are arriving. I think this is one of the suggestions that I would have. The second is, I believe that we need to have a more holistic view of the problem. We need, of course, to impose these regulations for importing fruits, but also we need to develop a good detection system. And such a detection system is not, as I said, is sporadic. It operates in some countries, but it's not well coordinated. And the third thing is we need to be prepared and to have developed, at least in theory, all the reaction measures, the eradication measures, the containment measures. And we all know that in Europe, if we get a species established, then sooner or later it's all over Europe. So we need to do something more there. And also we should try to revisit the within Europe trading of fresh fruits and vegetables.
Thank you. Donato?
Yes, in the case of the Xylella, I think that at the moment is not. There are, of course, tools, molecular tools to differentiate among different genotypes of Xylella. But the problem now is that since we do not have Xylella in Europe, except for the case of the southern part of my region, the objective is to try to prevent Xylella, regardless of what kind of strain or subspecies this is. Of course, there are now good diagnostic tools to improve or to implement, I will say, control at importation. But at the same time, I think that in this moment, I know something because I participated last week to one working group in Brussels with the aim to review, to remake a new decision, European decision, a new directive for Xylella. And now the European Union is taking the principle of the precaution, the major precaution, and so is going to make a much. I told you before that at this moment there is a prohibition to import citrus and grapevine. Now this prohibition is going to be extended to a much larger list of. The number is not defined yet, but should be very close to 150 list of plant species for which are going to prohibit import from all, not country, all areas, all regions in the world where is known the presence of Xylella fastidiosa. So this is the situation for the moment.
Just a comment on shark disease, that is a disease present more or less in all European countries. The last interception is in Finland. And in this case, in the case of this virus, it's not the main problem is not the vector aphids, but the main vector is the man, because man is changing propagation material sometimes in no legal way, can continue to spread the disease from a country to another country. So I think that farmers have to change his mind and to change also the habits to pick up material directly from orchards in order to multiplicate their plants. And a good control of multiplication system in agreement with producer organization is one of the main way to maintain under control and also to reduce the impact of this disease.
Muy bien. Franco, si tienes algún...
Franco, do you have anything you wish to add?
You mentioned that there is now at the EU level a review of the annexes. And I can say that unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know, it depends on the point of view, Erwinia Milobora should be deregulated as a regulated non-quarantine pest. It means that it's not very clear how the pest will be managed in the future. I'm afraid because the economical impact is very strong. It's present everywhere, but the economical impact is heavy.
Yeah, I can answer something about that because I have been in the EFSA in a working group, and I prepared partially the report on Erwinia milobora, and I have to say that it's probably one of the pathogens of more concern because of the tremendous spread and economical consequences. So, in my opinion, at least the recommendation is that to continue as a quarantine pathogen, in spite that the pathogen is present probably in a few years everywhere in Europe. But, okay, you are right, that the effect of considering or not the pathogen as a quarantine is important, but also we have this discussion here in Catalonia with the Plant Protection Service about declarations of protected zones or non-protected zones, because this has, from the epidemiological point of view, this is okay, but sometimes the economical effect on the production sector is important, the impact. So it's okay. I have advertised that we have to finish the session. Thank you very much to the speakers and to the public to be here. Okay.
Molt bé, moltes gràcies a tots els participants en aquesta magnífica taula redonda.
Thank you to all of the participants in this fantastic round table, and now we're going to have our parallel sessions in the other rooms. Here we'll have a session on pear, we'll have horticultural crops in the bathroom, and in the bio room we'll have hazelnut.